Okay, hello, folks. Today we're going to be talking about compliance acceleration. Going to be talking mostly around log architecture and log reporting. Today we're going to be have Ryan Attic on our show, and my name is Gary Damer, and I'll be hosting the overall event. So let's get right at it. Ryan, talk to me about the M-21-31 memo. Talk to me about where it came from, and really what's driving the overall memo for our customers.
Absolutely. M-21-31 was a memorandum that was released back in August of 2021 from the Office of Management and Budget. And they were mostly concerned with log management, log architecture, log retention for reporting purposes. And this came about following the SolarWinds incident. They wanted to be able to have increased government visibility before, during, and after a cybersecurity incident. This applies directly to federal agencies, as well as CSPs, which are cloud service providers that provide cloud services to the government.
So how were security operations centers involved in this as well? Seems to me like there was a big push for gaining more visibility from a SOC organization as well.
Yeah,
is that throughout this memo as well?
Yeah, this memorandum establishes requirements for agencies to increase the sharing of information so that they can accelerate incident response efforts to enable more effective defense of federal information in executive branch departments and agencies.
So what was the maturity model aspect of the memo? Help us understand, where is it coming from, and what are they trying to accomplish with it? Some kind of maturity model.
Yeah, the M-21-31 memorandum establishes an event logging tier. There are 4 levels to the event logging tier. Most agencies start at EL0, which is essentially that they have not met any of the criticality requirements for their logging. As they mature through the process, through EL1, EL2, and EL3, they will meet different levels of criteria and criticality levels for their logging.
How do people kind of figure out what maturity level they're at?
So they can take a look at what they are logging in their cloud environment. They have listed out through this memorandum, through the appendixes that are attached to it, the technical requirements that they are expecting for each level of log maturity.
I noticed one of the requirements is kind of basic centralized access. Does that truly mean centralized logging for this as well?
It does. Yeah, it means that you're going to take the logs from your environment through the different services that you use and get them compiled into a SIEM that allows you to put that on a single pane of glass so that you can have a clear indication of what's going on in your environment. The purpose of the logging is to help increase visibility into your environment, what's going on, what's happening, especially if an incident occurs.
And what are the main reasons why they're trying to put this maturity model in place? Is it to increase the overall log capability, or is it to give more visibility into logs within the environment?
Really, this memorandum is for both. They want federal agencies to be logging more information. The purpose of that, again, is back to security. The more you know about what's happening in your environment currently or in the past, the better you know when an incident occurs. And if an incident occurs, you can go back and try to figure out exactly when that incident occurred and how it happened. It helps for lessons learned after incidences as well.
So this memo came out sometime in 2021. I think maybe it was August. Talk to me about what the agencies were required to do at a high level from a schedule perspective, and when were they supposed to meet the individual logging maturity levels?
Absolutely, yeah. So the memorandum established a timeline for federal agencies and CSPs to meet the different levels of the logging requirements. Within 60 days of this release, which was back in August of 2021, they wanted agencies and CSPs to evaluate their logging capabilities and understand where they're falling short. After that, within 1 year of that memorandum, they wanted them to be able to reach EL1 maturity. After reaching EL1 maturity within 18 months of the date of the memorandum, So that gives you an additional 6 months after the first timeline. You were to meet EL2. And then 2 years from the release, so August of 2023 now, they wanted the federal agencies and CSPs to be meeting EL3 maturity. So basically completing the process from EL0 to EL3 within 2 years of the release.
Just recently, there was was it a GAO audit or an OIG report, GAO audit report on agencies doing reviews of how many individual agencies are meeting this requirement. How many agencies are actually meeting this requirement today?
Very few. The GAO released an audit in December of 2023, letting the agencies know that they were failing to meet the maturity level that was expected. So there's 23 agencies that the GAO was looking at. Of those 23, 3 had met the EL3 criteria, which is fantastic. 3 of them have met the criteria. Another 3 were at level 1. So they've passed the EL0, they've met the minimum requirements, and they're on their EL1 level. The remaining 17 were at level 0, meaning they were really kind of at the beginning, which was not what they expected when they released this memorandum.
How can agencies kind of accelerate their compliance to this particular requirement?
So federal agencies can start by looking exactly at their log requirements that they have currently, what they have implemented. But Infusion Points has also created what we call a LAMA, and that is a log architecture maturity assessment. And what we can do for federal agencies and CSPs alike is we can come in and take a look at your logging environment. We can see if it's complete, how robust it is, if you can compile it into the right area so that you can take that information and use it effectively to keep your environment secure.
And how do we develop that assessment process, the LAMA process? We use the attachments or the appendix in the memo as guidance for that. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So the memorandum has 3 appendix. Appendix A, which has the implementation and centralized access requirements. Appendix B, which goes over definitions so that you understand exactly what they're asking for these requirements. And then Appendix C is really the most robust section of this memorandum. It's going to go through all of the logging requirements through each level and each tier and each criticality. And that is where agencies really need to start reviewing the information and understanding where they are in this log maturity assessment.
I really like the way they did do the definitions area as well, because having a common lexicon as you're discussing a certain topic, especially cybersecurity topics, because us as engineers, we tend to invent our own words sometimes. So having that common lexicon really does help a tremendous amount throughout. So having this truly helps. In the actual detailed requirements, there was a couple areas here that really gave us some trouble when we first started looking at these. Yeah, why don't you talk about the first one, the first bullet there?
So yeah, as you will see as we get to Appendix C here, which is the login requirements and more of the technical details. The first thing that's going to throw up red flags to a lot of agencies and a lot of CSPs is that first line there. The full packet capture data is required to be stored for 72 hours. That's going to throw up a lot of red flags for agencies thinking of how much data that they have to store for 72 hours. But from our understanding, that information is really mostly focused on unencrypted information. Federal agencies typically deal with, and the majority of their information that are in their environment is encrypted. So this requirement is really just focusing on that unencrypted data. And that helps a lot as far as the cost looking forward for the log retention.
Now, I'm not going to go through every one of the requirements here because there are quite a few different requirements in this memo. What about the log retention as well? That one seemed to catch some folks off guard as well.
Absolutely. So as you can see, they're going to require 12 months of active storage and 18 months of cold data storage. So how we solve this at Infusion Points is we leverage the use of S3 buckets. And we also put lifecycle policies on those S3 buckets. So it's all automated as far as active storage or cold data storage.
So working with Infusion Points, we can help them kind of figure out where they are on the spectrum or on the spectrum of the maturity model. And then we can also help remediate the logging requirements for the on-premise side or even the cloud side. Now, we focus mainly in the AWS space, but we do have quite a few customers in the on-prem space and a few in the Azure space. But mostly we focus on AWS. And we really do leverage a centralized architecture for logging, collecting individual logs from applications, building the requirements right directly into the applications, moving the required data from the applications into a centralized collection point, and then moving them into some data streams in our logging account, which then feeds into our SIEM, so we can do log analysis and we can react to those incidents as they would occur, or detect or alert alarm on a particular log. But we also have the long-term storage piece of it, and the retention piece with the S3 buckets, or large systems as well for on-prem side as well. With that in mind, can you help me understand, how could organizations kind of engage us to help?
So they can go to www.infusionpoints.com. And that's the first place they can go and request a meeting with us, meeting with the advisory team, with the engineers that work at Infusion Points. And what we can do is we can sit down and discuss kind of their overall environment, what their environment looks like, the services that they're using in their environment to collect data, collect those logs, and where they're storing them. So we can kind of give them a full overview of their entire log maturity and log architecture.
Well, Ryan, I truly appreciate your time today, and hopefully everybody who's watched the video today will enjoy it as well. If you need us, let us know. You can find us here at Infusion Points. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day.